Hello, today we will compare two lenses for Sony apsc mount system. It's Sony 16-55 f2.8G and Tamron 70-70 f2.8. Both of them are weather sealed, of course, and have only 30 grams difference in terms of weight. So let's get straight to the point, and at the beginning we will see the reach of both lenses. Sony is 16-55, so on the wider end you can get a little bit more. So I think that for some of you can be a deal breaker. On a Tamron we've got 17-70, so in this situation we can punch in a little bit further. So on the telephoto side we've got a little bit more of reach, and let's take a closer look side by side. So we can see clearly that Sony is a little bit wider, so it can also be useful in terms of vlogging. For example, on a Tamron vlogging it's not so natural and good already, so that 1mm makes a difference in this situation. And on Tamron, of course, that 70mm allows you to get a little bit closer to your subjects. Maybe it can be useful in a some kind of portrait situation. And I also decided to check both lenses in terms of active steady shot. So you can see it right now. I was zooming in and zooming out. I was also in a handheld situation right now, but for more specific test of steady shot, active steady shot and standard steady shot of A6700 and both of these lenses, I want to invite you to my next videos I will make on this topic. But we could already see that it works kinda nice with both of lenses. I think that maybe it works a little bit better with 16-55, but as I said, I'm just going to make another video about this specific thing. And the next one, we are going to autofocusing in general, focus performance. Right now we are checking the focus pulling and focus briefing exactly, and on a 60mm we are right now in a Sony, and at least we can see anything of a focus briefing, so it's a very nice and clear performance. At the same at 55mm, I think that this performance is just awesome, is great. So if you are looking for a video lens, I think that it's a kind of very good option for you. And let's take a look on a Tamron as the focus briefing thing is looking, and as we can see it's not so bad in here, but we can see a little bit of this focus briefing, especially when we are very close to a focusing subject, so you have to keep in mind in it. And at the same time I have to say that on a Tamron the focus ring is not so smooth, it's not so accurate as on a Sony. So in a 16-55G lens the focus ring is working perfectly, it's very smooth, it's very accurate, and works just very in a delicate way. On a Tamron it's a little bit jumpy, and you can make some mistake when using it, so that's a clearly the thing. And at 70mm you can see it how it works and perform right now. And maybe 16-55 is not a cinematic lens, of course, but Sony marks it in some kind of situations as a videography or maybe even a cinematic lens, so you can consider it. And right now we are going to check it autofocus performance in a video situation. Right now we've got the fastest setup on a camera, and on Sony, as you can see, it's on a 55mm right now. We can see that autofocus is performing just perfect. We cannot see any focus briefing, any focus pulling. It's just amazing and on point. And on Tamron, autofocus is working very nice, is very quick, very fast, very accurate, but at the same time I can see a little bit of focus pulling, a little bit of focus back and forth movements, so it's a little bit of hunting as we can see on a focus mode. And in terms of photography mode, so in kind of when you are going to make a kind of stills, etc., autofocus is performing in general the same. So on the Sony, right on spot, very good, fast and accurate. On the Tamron, also the same, but in the Tamron we can see a little bit of that focus pulling, focus briefing, and a little bit of hunting sometimes. It's not very often. Autofocus is in general amazing in both of lenses, but in Tamron we got sometimes just a little bit of this focus hunting. It can happen like that. Both of course will be performing very well also with cameras which supports AF, IFF of course, and in A6700 it works perfectly for both of them. And 16-55 is a smaller lens. It's not a huge difference, but when I was using it I find that it's a little bit more handy, and you can feel it in your hand. And right now we can see the minimum focus distance, and on the wide end Tamron definitely wins in here, so we can see that difference is huge. But on the telephoto side that difference it's not so huge, it's not so too much to meaning, because it's in general it's the same. But at the same time on Sony we can see a little bit of more sharpness on the minimum focus distance, and we can also see a little bit less of chromatic aberration, and in general the image quality looks a little bit better on this minimum focus distance in Sony. And right now we can see once again 16 and 17 rich, and it's at f8 and at f8 on both of these lenses. In general I can see no difference in sharpness or anything more at all, so for me it's exactly the same performance. So in general they are both very sharp and very good image quality you can get from them, but we will take a closer look on it right now. And in this moment let's take a look in a color different, because Tamron is more yellow or more warm, and Sony is a little bit more on a blue side, or maybe on a not so warm in general. And right now we can see that Sony in a 16 and in a 17mm of Tamron, they are generally looking the same, and we are looking to a telephoto side of both lenses at 55mm. Right now we can see that Sony is sharper, and Tamron gives us a little bit more of chromatic aberration and less contrast. So on a telephoto side of both lenses I feel like Sony is maybe not very huge difference, but it's clearly a better image quality. And we also cannot see too much difference in a bokeh performance of both of these lenses. And at the same time, when we will recreate the frame of the at 55mm, we can also see not a huge difference. And about Loci here, they are performing a little bit of similar at f2.8, and at f4 I feel the Sony makes a more clear and less chromatic aberration for us. So guys, I know that it can be very hard to choose between both of these lenses. At the same time, when I'm using them, it's also very hard to decide that one of them is better or one is the worst thing. And I hope that you find anything helpful in this video. I hope that you will like, subscribe and comment below. I will also make a more specific video about stabilization, and I hope that I will be able to decide which lens to sell then. But right now that's all for today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section which lens you've got or which lens you prefer.